Hi, welcome back to Heather Mac Reacts. Today we're going through some Am I the A-hole stories, and if you like videos like this, make sure you subscribe because I post 5 times a week, every single week. Now if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into this first Am I the A-hole story. Hope y'all are ready for this doozy. Am I the a-hole for insulting my sort of mother-in-law after she questioned me getting breast implants after a mastectomy? I would just like to know where this woman gets off telling you what to do with your freaking body, especially after a cancer diagnosis. F right off, F right off, F right off. But let's read the story and see what they have to say. I have always been flat-chested. I have never filled an A cup. I had the very mistaken idea that this meant I was safe from breast cancer. How very wrong I was. I'm okay now and I'm considering getting implants. Nothing grotesque, just something so I can feel better and fill out a dress when I'm out. My husband and I are budgeting for them, and it got mentioned to his stepmother in passing when we had his dad and her over recently. She, for some reason, took it into her head to say that I was vain for wanting big tits after all this time, that my husband married me the way I was and that I shouldn't change myself. See, that could have been said with love and light, but it was said with judgment and bitchiness. So not okay. I was stunned. The hypocrisy. I told her that my body was mine to do with as I wanted, but I promised her I would never get so many lip fillers like her so that my mouth wouldn't look like a prolapsed baboon anus. Oh, the hypocrisy. Honey, when the lip filler starts to spread beyond the line of your lips, it's time to get them dissolved. She took this personally. I wonder why. And laughed. My husband said she deserved it. My kids agree with me, but her husband says I went too far and that we will not see them again until I apologized. I know my husbands and kids are ride or die with me, so I cannot judge myself by them having my back. Am I the a-hole? Prolapse baboon anus. Oh, okay. Are you the a-hole for telling her she was a hypocrite? No. Are you the a-hole for telling her that her mouth looks like a prolapsed baboon anus? That might have been a little far, but I mean, she started it. She started it. She brought it up first. She came with the judgments herself, so I think she got what she deserved. That's my opinion. Let's see what the comment says. I have been wearing a bra since well before junior high. I have generally always hated that sometimes people notice my breasts, let alone the rare occasion when someone feels free to comment on them. Good grief. I only mention it because larger or smaller, mammaries aren't anyone's actual business but yours. It's taken me years to get past people's projections about my breasts. The head trip some people want to give you about your body is just a mind blower sometimes. And I have no idea why the North American culture seems so breast obsessed in the first place, but what I do know is that your breasts are only your business. Breasts are like ears to me. They just hang around harming no one, and yet no one remarks on our ears. Not the a-hole. This is an area where mother-in-law overstepped, was churlish and crude, and needs to stay in her lane. Get a grip on your horses, mother-in-law. Yeah, I would totally agree. Now, you know, the mother-in-law said, well, this is not how your husband married you. Okay, yeah, if your husband was like, I loved the way you used to look. I don't want you to have like double D Pamela Anderson, like pre-taking out the implants tits. I mean, like, I feel like he should be able to voice his opinion, not to have a final say and really not to have any say at all, but to be able to voice his opinion, I think is okay. But the husband is clearly on board. And I mean, my husband would be fine if these were bigger or smaller or whatever. He would be like, whatever makes you feel the best is okay with me. I mean, again, he married me the way I am, and he wouldn't necessarily want me to drastically change my opinion, my appearance. But that doesn't seem to be the issue because the husband was completely on board and budgeting for a breast implant. So the mother-in-law can get fucked. That's my opinion. I would like to know what you think about that one in the comments, and let's get on to our next story. Okay, this next story says, am I the a-hole for refusing to pretend to be religious to comfort my dad whilst he is in the hospital? I can sort of relate to this. My father claimed to be pretty religious in his last 10 years on this earth. He passed away a year ago this August. And when he was still able to call us, being me and my brother, like separately, we don't live together, he would call us every Sunday, and his question was always, Heather, have you found a church? Have you found a church? Are you and your husband going to church? And the answer was always, not yet, because my husband and I are not religious. We don't want to be religious. We don't want a religion. We don't want to go to church. And it was something that my dad was sort of trying to force down our throats. There wasn't much he could do. Like, he doesn't live anywhere near, well, he didn't live anywhere near us. But it was kind of annoying. It was kind of an uncomfortable conversation because I didn't want to lie to him, but I also wanted him to just understand that, like, I'm not going to be religious like you all of a sudden claim to be in the past 10 years. It's just not for me. Anyway, Reddit says they're not the a-hole, so let's see what the story says. So I, 23 female, was raised in a very, very religious household. My parents are Sunni Muslims, and from when I was 5 years old, I had to wear the hijab and pretty much had religious dogma shoved down my throat, which is interesting because most of what I hear about the Muslim religion, and particularly wearing the hijab, is that it's not supposed to be compulsory. It's supposed to be the individual woman's decision. But okay. When I was 16, I tried to take off my hijab and my parents freaked out. My mom even cut off my hair in an attempt to force me to wear the hijab. Eventually, once I was 18, I managed to escape via university and had very limited contact with them since. Luckily, I am in Canada, so there wasn't much they could do to me once I turned 18. Yikes. My younger brother, 15 male, reached out recently to say that my dad is quite sick in the hospital and keeps asking for me, and asked if I could come and see him and wear the hijab just to give him peace in case he does not recover. A part of me wants to see them again, but I have a lot of trauma regarding my hair. It took years to grow it after my mom cut it off, and being forced to stay home with no friends growing up made me quite stunted in uni, which, not gonna lie, makes me very resentful. As you should be. My bro is very understanding and isn't religious himself. Apparently my mom and dad chilled out once I went low contact, but he feels bad for my dad and mom, so he's pretty much begging me to just do this once for them and then cut them off for good. I'm okay to see my dad in the hospital, maybe not my mom, she was the disciplinarian growing up, but putting the hijab back on is a no-go. I wasted 18 years of my life wearing this and I can't stomach another second. My boyfriend also understands and has my back, but I can't help but feel a little guilty. So Reddit, am I the a-hole or should I stay firm and maybe even go full no contact if things escalate? Yeah, it is not your job to make your family feel better about their religious compulsions, and I believe part of your religion, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not Muslim, I've never studied the Quran or ever read it or anything, but I believe from things that I've been told and heard myself that the hijab is not supposed to be something that you're forced to wear. So no, do not put that back on your head. Do not, under any circumstances. If you want to go see your dad, go see your dad. Maybe just wear a hat or like just a simple scarf on your head if it will make him feel a little bit better. But no, do not completely cover up your hair again, because it is not their business and not their decision to make. Let's see what the comments say. Not the a-hole. If it were just saying you were religious, sure, why be a pain in the arse? Well, I chose to not say I was religious and never changed my mind, so I guess I'm a pain in the arse. This, on the other hand, goes beyond that and asks you to sacrifice your own individuality and identity to appease your dad. If he truly cares for your presence, merely being there with or without the religious clothing should be enough for him. So there's a response from the OP and it's a little bit lengthy, so let's get into it. To them, me not wearing the hijab means that I am going to hell. Islam is very performative. Don't want to offend any Muslims here, but I truly believe it is a cult. This will probably offend some other people, and if you don't agree, you're welcome to not agree with me, but I think most religions are pretty culty. So me showing up with dyed hair to boot is me literally spitting in the face of Allah. I just wish we were a normal family. I miss them a lot, but they were so cruel to me before I left. I'm the eldest and the only daughter, so all of the outwards religiosity was placed on me. For example, they pulled me out of public high school in grade 11 and I had to do my final 2 years at an Islamic school. My hair was chopped off after my mom insulted me saying that my hair was ugly anyways and nobody would want to see it. They were also convinced I was possessed and did a Quran Sar, which is an exorcism where the imams will beat the jinni out of you. The list goes on. That's freaking terrifying. If I didn't get a scholarship to a uni across the country, I never would have been free to live a life outside of Islam. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. My boyfriend isn't from a Muslim background, so while he sympathizes, he does not understand just how bad it was, and my baby brother was too young to really grasp just how dire the situation was for me. My other brothers literally hate me, so they couldn't care less. Well, fuck them too. No, do not put the hijab back on. That is not something that's supposed to be forced upon you. It is supposed to be something that you decide for yourself. And if you don't want to wear it, you don't have to wear it. If you don't want to see your dad, you don't have to see your dad. I understand missing your family or maybe even missing the family you wish you had. But the fact of the matter is you shouldn't have to change who you are for your family to love you. And if they don't, then you just need to keep living your life. And like you said, maybe go no contact. I don't know what the answer is as far as low contact, no contact is. That's a decision you'll have to make for yourself. But no, you're not the a-hole for not wanting to pretend to be religious just because your dad is sick. It doesn't change what they did to you growing up. It doesn't change how you feel about the religion, and you shouldn't change for them. That's my opinion. I would like to know what you think in the comments, and let's get on to the next story. Am I the a-hole for paying to get a hair transplant and not for my ex to get a mommy makeover? If this is your ex, I'm not sure why you're responsible for her to get any sort of plastic surgery, but let's see what the story says. I have a receding hairline, so I decided to get a hair transplant. My ex is mad and think that I should have spent the money on her to get a mommy makeover. She had brought up a while back about me paying for half. At the time, I thought it was too much money and didn't think it made sense for me to pay for that since we weren't together anymore. So now she's really pissed that I spent so much money to fix my hair and not for half her mommy makeover when I'm half responsible for her body being ruined after having our son. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, did he force you to get pregnant? I'm assuming this was a mutual decision you both made. I don't blame my husband for the changes my body went through when we both decided to have children, because I knew that I would be the one carrying child or children, and that it would be my body that took the beating and not his. So I've never held it against him and can't imagine holding it against him, but maybe that's just me. There's an edit, just want to add a few things. For some reason, people keep thinking I'm talking about my financials with my ex. I'm not. It was pretty obvious I got the procedure done just from looking at me. We were never married. I never agreed to pay for her to have any cosmetic surgery. Yeah, I mean, a hair transplant isn't necessary, but neither is a mommy makeover. But this is your money and you can use it however you feel like you want to use it. And you were not financially obligated to fix her body after y'all decided to have a child together. I just don't know where people get the balls these days. Let's see what the comment says. It says, my ex is mad, not the a-hole. Your money, your choice. What anyone's ex thinks is not relevant. And the next comment says, you don't owe your ex anything like that. Because you truly don't owe your ex a mommy makeover. You just really, really don't. You don't owe your ex anything, and I'm sorry that she feels bad about her body, but that's not your responsibility. Not the a-hole in my opinion. I would like to know what you think about that one in the comments, and let's get on to the next story. This says, am I the a-hole for not telling my new partner about having a vasectomy? I mean, if she was actively trying to get pregnant and you didn't tell her, that would be a little shady-datey, but not sure you have to tell her about your medical procedures like right off the bat. Or at all. I don't know, strange. Let's read the story. Some background. I, 36 male, was married for 8 years, have 1 kid. After they were born, I got a vasectomy, which was 4 years ago, because I am not interested in having more children. Ended up getting divorced about 2 years ago and started dating my recent ex, 33 female, a little less than 9 months ago. When we started dating and the kid conversation came up, I was very clear about not wanting any more children, and that will not change. I didn't bring up my vasectomy at that point, partly because I didn't think it mattered, and partly because I didn't think it was their business that early on. It's really not. Fast forward to this week, she told me she was pregnant. At this point, I said the child is unlikely mine, and I will not have any involvement in this until a paternity test is done. My reasoning for this is she was supposedly on birth control, and I, in theory, should be sterile, so the odds seem pretty astronomical to me. This obviously turned into a fight. She accused me of being dishonest with her, which I guess a lie of omission isn't being completely honest. Am I the a-hole for not disclosing my vasectomy earlier? No. Would you disclose that you had your gallbladder removed? I mean, I don't understand how it's her business. I mean, I guess y'all were together for 9 months and it never came up, but like if you very clearly stated like you don't want any children, period, end of discussion, I don't know why you would have to divulge that you had a vasectomy. Very, very strange, but I don't think you're the a-hole. Let's see what the comment says. Get a sperm count test done and get a paternity test. Yes, I used to work in a lab and we would not often, but occasionally have a man come in with a sperm sample because after you get a vasectomy, you're supposed to have, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 sperm analyses. You're supposed to have your sperm analysis. Wow. You're supposed to have your sperm analyzed, your semen, and y'all, I still have another video after this to film. I need to get it together. You were supposed to have your sperm analyzed 2 to 3 times after a vasectomy to make sure that it was done correctly and you were officially without sperm. That is the idea. If you have that done, then you shouldn't have anything to worry about. But yes, get a sperm count done now to see what's going on down there. Next says, thank you for mentioning the sperm count. From my understanding, there are a fair number of babies born after vasectomies because the sperm count was not 0, which a good urologist or whoever does those procedures would have checked before they sent you on your merry way. Next says, there are years between the OP has his done and when his girlfriend got pregnant, so it's not a tale of not waiting long enough, but my doctor was adamant that if I was sexually active, I should get checked yearly after mine to make sure it didn't reverse itself. I've never heard of them reversing themselves. That's a little scary, but anyway, no, you're not the a-hole. That's my opinion. I'd like to know what you think in the comments. Don't forget, we have a playlist of over 180 Am I the a-hole videos up here that you can binge. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.